The sun is finally coming out. It's starting to feel like we're leaving winter, and it's gonna be spring, and it's gonna be great. And I no longer have depression, obviously. Kia ora whānau. Today I have started the book for August-September, which is Tide by Carian Cole, recommended to me by my sister. Our prompt was Strangers' Lives Entwining, and I'm really excited because this is the first ever book I am listening to on audiobook. Crazy, I know. So very excited to try a new sort of reading format, even though I find it weird to say reading because I'm not reading, I'm listening, you know, but I'm, you know, a different way of receiving a book. And also my first dark romance, contemporary dark romance, I believe, small town vibes, and I've actually already listened to the first 3 chapters, and I'm locked in, I'm ready. I'm really interested in the characters. I'm finding the pacing really good. I'm finding the writing really good. Like, I'm ready to go. While I listen to this, also, I am going to be putting away. My sister has got one big bag and one small box of books that she would like me to store for her. She lives in a bus, so she kind of stores her books in various places, including my bookshelf. So as you can see, this is pretty full already, so I'm gonna see how much I can sort of reorganize and fit on this side, and then I'm gonna see how I can go putting things on the other side. Okay, I think I'm making really good progress because look, I've got a whole shelf I've made room for.
Despite my mother's continued insistence that I get rid of them because they are filthy reminders. Filthy reminders for her, not for me. If these items give her comfort, let her keep them. Dr. Reynolds said to my mother during one of our recent therapy sessions. She'll let them go when she's ready. Standing.
Oh my god, that's it. And I actually have room to spare. The book is going like good from like a writing perspective, but really sad and from a character perspective. We are racing through the book now, and I have a lot of thoughts, both a little bit on the actual book, but to be honest, a lot on just audiobooks in general. So I thought I'd chat about that. I am making rice paper dumplings. That's what I'm doing for dinner tonight, and so I thought let's 2 birds, 1 stone this. And I'll chat while I do this. This is not a tutorial, by the way. My overall thought here is that I don't like them for fiction books. I'm gonna say fiction because I haven't listened to non-fiction. And I say fiction because I just find there's multiple things really. One, I can't annotate. I'm sure maybe there's some ways in which through an audiobook app you can annotate, but you can't really. It's not the same as on a Kindle, and definitely not the same as with a real book. And you also can't, I'm a forgetful reader and I can get quite pedantic. So if I forget something, I really, really need to be able to like flip back a few pages to like figure out did they say she was from Seattle or from Portland? Wait, like even though sometimes it won't matter, my brain, I need to like close that off and have a conclusion to that. I need to be able to flip back. That's really hard on the audiobook. Very hard to pinpoint where you maybe once were. The other thing is for this book in particular, so I'm trying to do, again, spoiler-free vlog, but this book, we know she's had a traumatic past and she will have flashbacks often, and they will be like a sudden remembrance of the man who abused her, him suddenly saying something. And in the physical book, I will assume, I'm like 99% sure, that will be written in like italics and be very clear. But in the audiobook, it's very unclear. It's not, you get used to it, but it's definitely really jarring when the audio voice person suddenly has this like, "You've been a bad little girl." And I'm not exaggerating. That's what it sounds like. And then you're like, oh shit, oh, okay, yeah, that's the bad man. Because you have to like be like, wait, sometimes these flashbacks happen when she's talking to another man in a scene, and so it can get a little bit confusing. I also feel like, this is ready to go. I also feel like I don't want to offend the actors. I think they're doing a stellar job. I do, but I just think it's very, very hard to do lots and lots of different voices when there's lots of dialogue going on. You're having to do a character voice for every single thing. This is also, I believe, maybe an indie author, so maybe not able to pay for lots of different voices, or just to pay for really experienced audiobook narrators who can do lots of stuff. And I say that in the sense that I know I've listened to Stephen Fry's Harry Potter, and he does that really, really well. Not me hyping up a white man, but he does. It's definitely not distracting. He does the voices great. And yeah, with this, I'm finding it a bit, it really takes me out of the moment, to be completely honest. In this book in particular, I find I really like Holly and the actor for Holly, but the dude, not so much, but also for reasons to do more with the book. So, okay, this is a dark romance, and he is a, very tough dude, very masculine, lots of tats, and he like scares people with horror masks if they come into his forest, and he goes to like night fights, and like he has a motorcycle. And for me, when I'm reading a romance, a lot of the time I'm wanting to be attracted to the love interest. And for me, that just isn't quite my vibe. I can be like open to quite a lot of different, being attracted to lots of different people with different vibes, but the way he like swears and the way he is really tough, it just comes off a little bit cringe to me. I'm sorry. I can understand 100% how other people will think that's really hot and really like kind of sexy, but it just doesn't do it for me. It's just like a little bit cringe. It gives me the ick a little bit, because otherwise I love him. And I love all those bits about him. I think it's interesting. His motorbike and his story is really interesting, but and so the voice narrator is probably not helping that. My overall take is that I'm glad I'm doing this experience of listening to the audiobook, but man, I wish I could. I might actually take the time to read this book again as a physical book, because yeah, let's get into the actual book. I'm loving it. I'm actually really, really enjoying it. I'm loving the story, the individual stories of both these characters. As we sort of said in when my sister first recommended this to me in the book swap video, this is a sad book. It's really sad, but I can already feel myself getting that real satisfaction out of it, of seeing these characters go through a lot of growth despite their pasts. And I think they are a great couple. Like, I'm really excited and I'm rooting for them to be together. I think that's really important in a romance. And they also, I think it takes, in terms of themes, without spoiling it, it's gives a really, really great look at how people's families react to their family members and loved ones experiencing trauma, and how they either support or not support that process. So yeah, lots of, like, the start is definitely very validly lots of foundational stuff, learning about the two characters and their stories, but now we're starting to finally get to some well-deserved romance stuff, some kicking our feet, some hee, and I'm really enjoying it. I also, like, while you're reading it, I personally forget how much, like, I know so much about each character, and I forget that that character does not know that. Like, and so I'm, like, so excited for them to be like, oh my god, you're not gonna believe how they relate to you. Like, there's so many parallels between their stories, between their lives, and so I'm, like, so excited for them to, like, realize that. Yeah, like, the book is good. And yeah, I just, in terms of the audiobook though, not a fan of the medium, but, like, I'm here and I'm doing it. I definitely like that you can be listening and, like, doing other things. So, you know, obviously everyone knows how much time reading can take up, you know, in your day. Like, not everyone has hours to read. And so if you can at least spend an hour listening to something while doing something else that you had to do, like laundry or chores, or even just fun stuff, like you want to combine, like, I'm really psyched. I'm probably gonna at some point do some puzzling while I do this, listen to this, like, that's cool. But yeah, I would probably in the future, I am keen to check out some non-fiction audiobooks, because that seems like it would fit the medium a bit more. Just because it's obviously going to be either the person who wrote the book, or it's like a podcast, like a documentary, like listening to that sort of thing, as opposed to listening to, like, a radio play, which is kind of hard to pull off and just not personally my vibe. But anyways, I am going to make a bunch of dumplings listening to this book. Let's go. I am about halfway through, I think over halfway through now. I apologize, I haven't been filming much while I've been listening to this, mainly because, I'll be honest, I've been playing a lot of PlayStation while I've been listening, and that's just, like, boring to watch. As if this is, like, the most exciting thing you'll ever see. Oh my god, I'm actually, like, 3/4 of the way through. Oh my god. I don't often have feelings like this with a book, but, like, that's making me sad. Like, I'm like, I could go for more. You're telling me there's only a quarter of the book left? No. Wow, I'm really liking this book. And do you know why? Because, again, I think just the listening to, sorry, I said I was going to listen to this, but now I'm rambling again. Again, like, the audiobook vibe, it lets you read a lot faster, obviously, because I personally am a really slow reader. I'm not someone who, like, does this sort of skimming, which, and no hate on the skimming, I understand skimming, I'm just not very good at it. And this sort of allows me to skim, like, things I don't get as caught up on, like, wait, what happened? So because you're listening to it, and because I'm kind of preoccupied with something else, I don't really notice or mind that much if, like, a few sentences pass me by and I didn't quite catch them, like, because to me that's what, like, skim reading is. You're, like, kind of lightly touching on all the sentences, as opposed to, like, fully reading them out loud in your mind, which is how I read. And so I think it's definitely a much quicker way to get through a book, for sure. Yeah, anyways, let's get into this. Okay, see, this is the other thing, like, the way he's having to do the female's voice, but like he's not that good at it. And also, you've hired the female already to do Holly's version, like who does the Holly voice. Like, I guess you can't stitch those together. Like, I guess that's maybe like a real annoying admin, like that adds a lot of time and money. Like, that's the sort of thing I'm talking about. Like, I don't like his version of like her voice. I'm not a huge fan of. Oh. Okay, so she also just has like so many good, Carian Cole has so many good one-liners, you know, like those, that's like to me what a good book is it has those like one-liners that just pierce you and are just like this great commentary or this great, something that really resonates, or you're like, man, that's so true. Like, that's the sort of thing I want to be able to annotate. Like, yeah, I think especially if you're, someone who's experienced these terrible things, I can imagine this would be, well, again, I can't say, I can't speak on those people's behalf, but this feels very authentic, and as a very authentic experience to me, as what someone would be going through, trying to like live a normal life after like a crazy thing happening to them. I have got my headphones on. I'm going for a little walk. I'm going to continue listening to this book. One thing I had on my mind, which again, like, I don't think it's an issue, I just think it's worth noting. I just could kind of, I can see how everything is playing out, and from the very start, I could see quite clearly what was likely going to happen. And I don't think, and this is maybe because I'm such a thriller reader, that's my main sort of domain oftentimes, is like trying to figure out what's going to happen in the book and having, you know, and if you do figure that out, that's like a big props, like, oh my gosh, I think I figured it out. Whereas here, yeah, they're not looking for twists. I don't think Carian Cole is like, good on you for figuring it out. I don't think that's the intention. So this is again like why I love my sister and I doing this and like reading different genres, because it really forces you to just have a different relationship with the story. As soon as they mentioned, for instance, and I'll say this because it's not a spoiler because it happens so far at the start and I think it's so obvious, Holly finds out about this, that there's these Christmas trees in the forest that get decorated for Christmas and no one knows who does it. They call it the Forest Santa. And in my head, I'm like, well, it's obviously Tyler. It's obviously the other main character in this book who happens to live in the forest. Like, I'm like, that seemed so obvious to me. And I don't know if that, like, ruins my experience of reading it. Like, I don't know if the intention is that when he admits he's the Forest Santa, that it's meant to be some big reveal. Or if, yeah, I don't know. I think this is really just showing my, my coming at this from a very thriller reader vibe. And just some of the other things, like from the very start, you see her wanting to move away to New York with her brother, and obviously you know that she's gonna end up staying with Tyler, right? This isn't a spoiler, this is just my prediction, I haven't finished yet. And yeah, I don't know. That's the whole point of a romance though, right? Is that we know that that's what's going to happen, but we're excited to see it get there. We're excited to see that happen. How is she going? Ooh, what's going to happen isn't about, oh, what's going to happen? Is she going to go to New York or not? We know she's probably not. The ooh, what's going to happen is in relation to how is she going to make that decision? How is she going to qualify to herself, justify to herself that she should stay here and be with Tyler? I saw someone talking recently about this, about that, like, romance is, yeah, one of the best things is seeing how people start off with this very, I shouldn't be with this person for XYZ reasons, and seeing how they get around that, how they manage to make it work regardless. And this is definitely one of those types of books. I think Tyler is really, as much as he loves Holly, he is the one who definitely thinks that them being together maybe isn't a great idea, because he thinks that they're both too traumatized, that they can't, he's just gonna hinder rather than help and all that sort of thing. Even though, like, when you're reading it, you're like, boy, you're doing great. Like, everyone's gonna make a few mistakes. Motorcycles, MC romance. Like, everyone's gonna make mistakes, but like overall he's doing all the right things in terms of developing a relationship with someone who's been through a hugely traumatic thing, at least from my perspective, from my very limited lack of experience. So yeah, I don't know, I think it's good, I think it's going well, and I'm very excited to finish it. I'll probably finish it this afternoon. Yeah. But anyways, I've enjoyed my walk with the little birdies. Birdies in the trees and birdies in the water. All the birdies out to play today. Oh my god, it's finally, the sun is finally coming out. It's starting to feel like we're leaving winter. And it's gonna be spring. And it's gonna be great. And I no longer have depression, obviously. Parked up outside the laundromat and I'm about to put some stuff in the dryers. And I thought while my stuff is in the wash, in the dryer, I will just chill out and listen to the rest of the book. Oh my god, I just realized you can make it faster.
I'll be popcorn too.
Game changer. I brought some fidgets so that I have something to do while I listen, because I'm an ADHD girly and I can't just stare into space and listen to something like a crazy person, okay? She just said the name of the book in the book, which I love, and oh my god, I can't believe it took me this long to get to understand the name of the book and the relevance of the name of the book. Grade A dumbass over here, but whatever. It's yeah, wow, it's going really, really well. I'm very excited to finish it. Okay, so it's an interesting moment. I see those TikToks all the time. Sorry, they're not TikToks, they're YouTube shorts of the book girlies, and they'll like share the like quotes of their like book boyfriends, like the like romantic lovers, and for some reason they always seem kind of cringe. Like, it always seems kind of cringe, and I think it's because when you hear them without context, it's gonna be cringe because you don't know it. It's like, oh, if anyone has watched How I Met Your Mother, and there's the episode where they talk about the Dobler or Dharma effect, and it's like, does it, which I can't remember what those references are for, but the idea is that like if two people really like each other an act can come off really, really romantic, but if one of the parties is not reciprocating the love, the crush, the act will come off really cringe, right? And I think it's the same with books, in the sense that when I see these YouTube shorts of people sharing these quotes of like especially the male romance protagonists, the male romance interest, there'll be, I don't know, I find them really cringe, and I'm like, ugh. But then I just had that moment in this book of like a moment where he says something that I'm like, oh my god, that's so like gorgeous and beautiful and lovely, and oh my god. And I just know that if I heard that quote outside of reading the book, like I didn't read the book, hadn't seen it, and I just saw it on my YouTube shorts randomly, I would probably be like, cringe. Like, I don't know, it's weird. It's like you really need at least for me personally, I think I really need the context to appreciate stuff like that. Yeah, I don't know, maybe that's not interesting, but anyways, that's just, yeah, I just had one of those gorgeous moments. Maybe I'll make a YouTube short about this quote. There's like nothing you could have there's no way to know if, because, but if I'd done this, then it wouldn't have happened. It's like, actually, no, you might have done that, and these bad people still might have done the bad things they did. Like, that's life. You can't plan it, and the responsibility lies with the abuser, with the perpetrator, not the victims. And it's so easy to think, oh, but I could have done this, I should have done this, and yeah, it's a really bad circle of thinking to get yourself into, and it's hard to get out of that, and the characters are experiencing a lot of that in the chapters I've just read, and it's very, very relatable, as well as I love that Tyler, the character, just because it's, again, very relatable, is he has like something that a former girlfriend said to him once comes up in his mind quite often, like as an intrusive thought. He will always think of the sentence she said to him, and that's just, it's heartbreaking, because that does happen. And I hate to think that there are probably things I've said to people that is their thing that they think of, and in fact I think of them. I know a few stupid things I said as a teenager that I worry that those girls think about now, and I think about them now feeling horrible that I said them. And yeah, so again, very good. I also like that the book is so well written, because it doesn't, in the sense that it doesn't stray away from the real issues that would come up in the sexual scenes that would come up with people with the trauma that they have. It's not like, oh, we're these traumatized people and we're relating to each other and now we're having great sex and it's amazing. It's like, no, there's gonna be things that come up. There's gonna be roadblocks. There's gonna be a lot of issues on either side. It's not gonna be as straightforward as dating someone who doesn't have these past experiences. So I don't know. I'm loving it. I'm still thinking it's really good. Yeah. Okay, I'm just wrapping up this vlog. I finished the book and I'm really happy with the ending in terms of the choice, like what happened. The writing, I don't know. It started, like, most of this book felt very good and well paced, and then the ending felt a little bit rushed. I don't know, like it just like, yeah, it brought it down to like a probably. Yeah, it was fine. I'm being picky, probably. But yeah, like, overall, love, recommend the book. I'm going to be rating it 4 stars. Yeah, I think, and yeah, I'm really, really interested. It was such an interesting experience with the audiobook too. So, yeah, very, very happy for the ending though. Yeah, love.